weak website? It could be a superstar. We do A/B testing, personalisation, social proof, product recommendations, baseline analysis to bring your bottom line over the line. Visit webtrends-optimise.com or call 0333 444 5502 today.
a very good morning. Welcome to Hove for the first of the double headers in this season's T20 Blast. Well, not technically the first double header, because there was one at Lord's when we were there on Thursday, when Sussex Women and Men both played against Middlesex. My name's Adrian Harms, listening to BBC Radio Sussex, BBC Radio Gloucestershire and BBC Radio Bristol. Now, I'm not sure if any of our regular sound checkers are in the ground at the minute. Normally somebody waves so they can hear the commentaries going out. So if you're looking with your eagle eyes to see anybody's waving in the top tier or anywhere around the ground, maybe no one's listening on their headsets at the minute. So we'll just assume that everything is going to be okay. So we'll get under here at 12 o'clock, say Gloucestershire Women against Sussex Women. Then the men's game gets underway at 4 o'clock. Full live commentary on both games here on the BBC and also on the Sussex Cricket Club stream. Your commentators for the women's game, and I'm going to hand you over to them now, are Georgia Heath and Andy West. So enjoy the commentary. We'll have a break halfway through in the break between innings, but enjoy the game. And if it's, I hope it's as exciting as it was at Lord's on Thursday evening. So I'll wish you bon voyage, and I will leave with Georgie and with Andy West.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, to sunny Sussex, actually. It was slightly overcast this morning as we were arriving, but I can see coming over from the left some blue sky to match the wonderful blue seats here in Sussex. Happy to be joined by Andy this morning as the two umpires, Julia Jarvis and Dean Daniels, stride out to the middle to oversee this Vitality Blast Women's League 2 match between Sussex and Gloucestershire. So Sussex's first match in this league this season, Gloucestershire coming off the back of a loss the other day against Middlesex. I am wrong, sorry, apologies. Sussex coming off the back of their loss against Middlesex the other day. 102 for 7 they made there, so they'll be looking to try and really improve that scoring today. The good news is the mascots are here. It must be Vitality Blast time, because I can see shark-shaped mascots. Good morning to you, Andy West. There's a few in the crowd here today. The sun's out and we can see fluffy headbands, so it must be blast time.
It is. It's sunshine. It's June now, isn't it? And we're all set for a great day. Great new initiative to have, of course, the women's and the men's back-to-back, 2 games to enjoy today at the First Central County Ground, and very much looking forward to it. And yeah, like you say, a disappointing game for Sussex against Middlesex a few days ago. They batted first on that occasion as well. Actually made a bright start before really losing their way in the middle overs. So they'll be looking for a lot more from the middle order today.
Well, we're just waiting for the two opening batters to stride out to the middle. Gloucestershire getting together in a huddle before they take to the field, and Sussex looking to try and bounce back. So they're wearing their blue strip that they wear for the T20. I was over here doing a 50 over match the other week, and they have this magnificent pink shirt that looks sort of, you know, like the umpires wear. I think it's in the 100 they wear the pink shirts. That sort of magenta kind of colour, but today it's the blue strip.
More understated.
The yellow sort of strip across the chest in a downward arrow sort of shape. Gloucestershire, and they're wearing their black trousers with the yellow shirts. And so it will be Sussex who are looking to try and put a score on the board here today on their home ground. Double-header day. What a day to be in Sussex. Double-header day. The sun is out. It's finally June. It's basically summer. Get yourself an ice cream. I've seen multiple ice cream vans already here this morning. It's still morning. Just ice cream for breakfast. It sounds all right for me. It doesn't matter if it's a Sunday. Happy June. Happy Blast Day. And welcome to Sussex. So it looks like we're going to have obviously some pace to open up the bowling. I think it's Kate Dolman has been handed the ball down in front of us. So yeah, coming from the sea end, going up the hill towards the Cromwell Road end.
It's been a tough season for Gloucestershire so far. Only 1 win in 5 in all forms. But in the last game, Katie Dolman did perform well with the ball. 3 wickets. That was in a game against Middlesex a couple of weeks ago, so she'll be starting off trying to strike early.
So Izzy Collis facing up. In comes Dolman. And she just slashes this one through the covers, weighted nicely onto this. It's going to race towards the boundaries. 2 fielders giving chase. And it's an excellent diving effort out on the rope. But you can hear it on the effects mice, the sort of groan from the crowd as it's just trickled into the boundary. So opening up the account with a 4 off the very first ball of the day. Talk about stamping your authority early on, Izzy Collis.
What a start. Beautiful shot. Excellent placement and just enough pace on it. The outfield didn't seem particularly quick, but it just had enough to get there. Izzy with a decent knock the other day, 29 at Middlesex.
And this time played straight back up towards Dolman along the ground, so no fears involved in that kind of shot. But yeah, great coming off the back of a 29 there, a 29 in the T20 the game before, and a really nice looking 67. I was down here watching them play a 50 over match against Kent the other week, and that was really well made. Molly Adams also starring with the bat that day, as Dolman is in again. This time slightly fuller, just beating the edge, and his hands on heads. It's flown straight through to the keeper behind the stumps, and just a wafty drive at that one. But it's a good recovery this from Dolman after being smoked for 4 off the first ball of the day.
Yeah, it was a lovely delivery. Looked to just take a little pace off it there and misjudged by Collis.
In comes Dolman again, right arm over. And that one finds the top edge, and that's going to race to the boundaries. Got enough on it. Fielder does really well, actually, at deep third to come around and cut it off. Good arm in on the bounce. And they come through for a second.
Well fielded, but also good running. Very decisive to set off for the second quickly. Just 2 out, of course, in the power play, and that's at deep third and deep mid wicket. So there's plenty of room in the outfield.
Here comes Dolman. Slightly shorter this time, and looks to cut this away. Can't time it, just hit into the ground and fielded at point.
Yeah, just tucked her up a little bit, didn't it? Seemed perhaps as though there wasn't as much width as she initially thought. But a good start this first over. You know, you're going along at a runner ball, even if there's a dot ball now to finish it. So no need to force anything for Collis from this last ball of the over.
Final delivery now. This time just fuller and squirted away towards point. A diving effort cuts it off, and it won't stop the run. So 1 run off the final ball of the first over. A good first over that for Sussex Sharks. 7 runs coming from it at the end of the first. They're 7 without loss.
And of course Izzy Collis keeping the strike with that single off the last ball of the over. Good running again. It wasn't an obvious single, but she saw it was just to the left of the fielder, so no hesitation. In setting away. Rachel
King at the other end is just being a spectator, hasn't had a chance yet. Hasn't had a chance to have a bat, she's just running.
Nice chance to have a look at the pitch early, isn't it? And let your partner do the work.
I sometimes like to just get out there and get started rather than sort of thinking I've still not faced a ball, I've still not faced a ball.
You want to get your bat on ball, don't you? And I think it's going to be Charlie Phillips opening from the other end.
Cromwell Road end, that's what I really like down here.
End. It's nice,
I'm on a bit of a charge at the moment that I don't think there should be any duplicate names of ends. Because so often you go
strike away all the pavilion ends.
None of this again, none of these city ends anymore. We've got the C end and the Cromwell Road end here, and I rate that.
So it's Phillips in to bowl. Nice length, and just worked away by Izzy Collis. She went along for more than a run a ball on Thursday at Lords, 29 off just 27, so likes to keep that tempo high. Good length again, and a good start to this spell from Charlie Phillips. Has cover, 2 out on the leg side, deep backward square and deep mid wicket. Now a wide, and that's frustrating. You don't want to give extra runs.
No, and that's the thing, especially when she's just keeping it so tight at the beginning and then just start to push, and then the extra delivery in a T20.
A full toss there and taken advantage of, beautifully put away by Izzy Collis. Eyes lit up as the full toss came towards her, and very well worked.
Yeah, it's so tricky that, isn't it? You started really well, bowl wide down the lead side, and then it just puts the wobbles on you a little bit, bowl a full bunger, and Izzy Collis is going to chew that up all day long. She moves on to 11 from 9. The score moves, well, the score's just catching up.
Giving a team a great start at the moment. That's back to the length. That's back to the length that she finds. Obviously, she's spinning it in, which is why she's got that cover on the leg side, and why she's looking for that line. She doesn't want to give any width outside off stump, because there's no cover there. Slight change of field now, going a deep long on with a deep square leg coming into square. And I think she was looking to hoist that over mid-wicket, wasn't she? Trying to find one of the gaps on the leg side.
Yeah, because once you get it over that ring there, as you say, you've got the sort of deep mid-wicket and the deep long on. There's a big gap between those two.
Final ball of the over. Well fielded. They were looking for that quick single again, trying to get the repeat of the last over where Collis got the single off the last ball to keep strike, but not this time. And so finally Rachel King, after watching for a couple of overs, will have the chance to face strike. But a good start for Sussex Sharks. 12 off the first 2 overs, and mirroring really the way they started against Middlesex, and it was that middle order, the overs between 8 and 18. They only scored 28 a few days ago, so that will be when they're under pressure in the middle of the innings. But they've made a very good start, so now King to face for the first time.
Dolman again, this time slightly fuller and just driven nicely to extra cover by King, and there's again no run, so score remains 12 without loss.
No changes to the field. Still the 2 outs are deep third and deep mid-wicket.
Here comes Dolman again, right arm over. And she's had a bit of a waft at that, sort of caught in 2 minds and finds herself stretching for it. It does beat the bottom edge and fly straight through to Jess Hazel behind the stumps.
Yeah, lack of footwork, just stood in a crease
Yeah,
and
standing
needed
in
to
concrete, isn't she?
Yeah, needed to get to the ball. They missed out there because it was there to be put through the covers.
This time just solid in defence, just pushed up towards cover again, and still no run. King yet to get off the mark. Score remains 12 for none.
And that's always such an anxious feeling, isn't it, when you're opening, especially as you said, when she had to watch the first couple of overs, didn't get to face, and now 3 dot balls, 1 where she really missed out. She needs to get off the mark here as soon as possible.
Here comes Dolman. And she's finding a really good line and length, just trying to work that into the onside as King. She rehearses the shot, but just finds the bottom edge again, and Jess Hazel comes and cleans up from behind the stumps.
Yeah, not looking confident at the moment. Rachel King didn't play at Lord's the other day, so looking to make an impression here, and pretty uncomfortable start.
Here comes Dolman. And again, that good line of length, and just driving at that one, pushing at it, and again beats the edge. There's sort of Gloucestershire fielders with hands on their heads. Can't believe she's managed to miss that.
Yeah, it's been an excellent over. That was a really clear play and miss. And Dolman will be very happy with this over, even though the wicket hasn't come. It's stopped the flow of runs. 5 dots.
Final delivery here. And that's a great start. Just the 3rd over of the innings, and it's a maiden from Dolman. So the score at the end of 3 remains 12 for none, and Gloucestershire will be very pleased with this start. Now, just managed to peg it back. The first ball, obviously, of the innings went for 4, smoked through the covers, and now just putting the pressure on again.
Yeah, so the decision now for Liv Daniels, the captain, next over will be, does she keep Dolman on after that maiden? You'd be tempted to say, okay, she's bowling well, exerting some pressure, but only has a couple of overs left, so might want to save her. This is it's Phillips again, and a good start. Izzy Collis back on strike.
We talk about the importance of bowling in partnerships as well.
There's a wide. Could have left that one, Izzy Collis. Maybe a little bit fortunate she didn't get bat on it and see it trickle away for no run. Got the wide though. It's 2 in 2 overs from Phillips. And just comfortably glanced into that space between square leg and mid on. see if there's a field change now as Rachel King comes on to strike against Phillips for the first time, and it's keeping the two out at long on and deep mid wicket. So Phillips bowling to King for the first time, and she didn't look comfortable at the other end, did she? She'll be anxious to get her first runs here.
Oh.
Well, there's a gift. Desperate to get off the mark, and given the opportunity to do so with the full toss, she feels she misses out there. You can see the waft of the bat in frustration, only to get the single, but that'll make her feel better at least to be off the mark. Well, Collis will feel she's missed out as well. Another full toss on the leg side, but again picked out the fielder. So Charlie Phillips perhaps a little fortunate to get away with just a couple of singles from those two deliveries. Finding a good line and length there. So recovering from not the best start to the over. Oh, that's beautifully glanced. Maybe deserved more than the one run, but it is a run to finish. So Izzy Collis keeps strike. 17 without loss after 4 overs. You're listening on BBC Radio Sussex, BBC Radio Gloucestershire and BBC Radio Bristol. I'm Andy West, joined by Georgie Heath for this opening home game for Sussex Sharks in the Vitality Blast. And obviously both these teams, Georgie, looking for a win. That goes without saying, but early in the season you want to get up and running. Sussex had the loss the other day, Gloucester in their first game. So early in the season you really want to get your campaign up and running.
Very much so. Dolman is going to bowl her third here, full straight, and it's driven by King through the legs of Collis and fielded at mid-on by Caitlin Belcher up there, and there is no run. Score remains 17 for none. Yeah, it's about sort of stamping your authority early on, especially on a double-headed day, sort of party atmosphere around the ground here in Sussex as Dolman is in again. This time good line and length down on one knee, and that's worked backward of square leg as long leg comes around and cuts it off, and there's just one more to the total. So King moves on to 3 from 11. Collis back on strike, 13 from the 15 she's faced. Has really milked a lot of the strikes so far today.
And has needed to for the sake of this innings, with King struggling somewhat at the other end.
Here's Dolman again, and she's just had a little push at this one as Collis, beaten the edge again, flies through to Hazel behind the stumps, but finding a really good sort of probing line and length. And that's just kicked up off the pitch. Beautifully bowled, and did a bit too much to get past the outside edge. There was movement off the seam there. Coming into her midway through her penultimate over now, Dolman. And that's perfectly driven off through the covers, and she's going to break the shackles and pick up 4 here, Collis. She moves on to 17.
They needed that. It was almost cut and paste from the first ball of the innings, that, wasn't it? A little bit of width, outside off stump, and Izzy Collis very strong in that area, pouncing on it. Only got just over an over left of the power play now, of course, so anything loose like that, important for the Sharks to take advantage, and Izzy Collis moving along very nicely.
Yeah, it's just what they needed. You felt it got a bit flat. The two of them were getting bogged down slightly. She's now going at run a ball 17. And this time not quite time, driven into the ground and fielded at cover. Score remains 22 for none, 1 still to come in this over. 5 already off the over. Dolman just about to complete her 3rd over for the day.
Yeah, and interesting that she stayed on, isn't it? I mentioned that it was a decision to make. Do you hold a couple back, or maybe she's going to bowl through here?
She comes in to complete her over and strays down the leg side.
Or not completely over, and that's one of those frustrating freebies that when you've got the opponent under a bit of pressure, just giving them a run.
It's almost more annoying when it's at the end of your over as well, because in your head you're thinking, right, my last one, oh, actually, no, I've got to go and do another one.
Back to the mark.
Here she goes. Final delivery this time, full and straight, and just squirted out in front of point, and that's got enough on it, and that's really nicely placed.
Yeah, all about the placement there, because it was guided really, wasn't it, through the field. She caressed this one through. See, not much backlift at all, just stabbing down on it, but it was through the field, and that's the second boundary of the over for Izzy Collis, up to 21 now. 21 out of 27, 3 of those wides as well, so she's dominating this part
Talk
of the shot.
about rubbing salt in the wounds as well. The previous delivery had been the wide, so the extra delivery has to be bowled, and it gets sent away for 4. So it's not just rubbing the fine salt in the wounds, it's those sort of salty flakes.
Yeah, and it stings as well. So it was worth 5 really, wasn't it, that errant delivery? As we have a bowling change, do we? Yeah, Liv Daniels, the captain, is coming on. Pace off the ball again. The final over of the power play. There's cover out on the leg side. 2 deep on the boundary. And King continuing to struggle. 3 off 13 now for Rachel King, and important if she's not hitting it cleanly, just to try and find some singles, get the strike back for Izzy Collis. Oh, that fell just short. She really is struggling, Rachel King, nearly losing her wicket here. It was well bowled and beaten in the flight, it seemed, just short mid wicket. That's better, bat on ball cleanly, and as we say, rotate the strike, because you want, with Izzy Collis, the way she's playing, you want her to be facing as much as possible. Yeah,
King just 4 from the 15 she's facing. She really has struggled out there, and you don't want to be chewing up deliveries, especially at the top of the innings. And Collis showing that, you know, there are runs out there to be had.
A change in field, just with Collis going back on strike. A deep long on going back, and square leg coming in. That's well bowled. But Collis looking very comfortable. One more to come from the power play, and it's probably in Collis's mind as well, knowing that her partner's struggling, maybe to think, well, let's just try and get a single here so I can keep the strike. And that's exactly what will happen.
Yeah, played really safely along the ground, rolled her wrists over it, swooping out to deep mid wicket. And just the 2 runs from that over, so 6 overs gone now. Sussex Sharks 29 without loss. 22 of those belong to Izzy Collis.
Yeah, and honours even, would you say, so far? Neither team would be feeling that they're really on top. 5 and over, just short, is a decent foundation with no wickets lost, of course. But from Gloucestershire's point of view as well, they've had a couple of those good overs, like you say, just 2 off that last one. And it's all been about Izzy Collis so far. We've got a change in bowler now. Emily Geach is going to come on. The power play is over, so 4 fielders can go back. We've got 1 on the ropes here at the C end, at deep long on, deep square leg, deep mid wicket as well.
And here comes Geach, back to pace from the C end. This is full and just worked off the pads out to deep mid wicket by Collis, and there's a slip in the field, so they do capitalise and come back for a second. They'll take advantage of that. They'll take the extra runs however they can. Yeah,
that was a give me really, and not only did it give an extra run, but that misfield also, of course, keeps Collis on strike, allowed her to come back importantly.
She's on 24, facing up now. And this time she
well
struck
bowled
on the pad, and the finger goes straight up. And the finger went up in the commentary box, and, well, Dean Daniels does not hesitate. And that's the first wicket that goes down for the Sussex Sharks. Really well bowled by Geach, not phased at all that the previous one went for 2 on a misfield.
Yeah, as soon as she missed, we knew it was out, didn't we? You didn't need to wait for the umpire's finger to go up. One of those dismissals that just was inevitable as soon as the Collis missed, and that is the wicket they wanted, of course, because she had been powering this innings, Izzy Collis. So just like she did the other day in the opening game of the competition at Middlesex. She gets out in the 20s, having been well set, 29 off 27 on that occasion, and falls here as well for 22 off 21.
24 from 23 in the end. Scoreboard just catching up with us. So Geach will be very pleased with that. There's always numbers flying around, scoreboards, electricity, trying to keep up with the cricket, but that is just the breakthrough they would have needed. And it brings Nancy Harmon out to the middle. She joins King 4 from 15. And she just plays this off the back foot and pushes it up as Long On comes flying in off the boundary. So she's off the mark straight away with a single. The score moves on to 32 for 1.
Yeah, Nancy Harmon had a good game at Lords, 26 off 19, including a 6 there, so in good nick. And there's a lot of space out here with the field that's been set. That's going to be changed now. There was only one fielder on the leg side close to the bat, but they're moving that now, getting a bit of cover in there at mid-wicket.
King facing up now, and well, she looks to try and launch that back over Geach's head, doesn't time it at all, and squirts out to deep mid-wicket, who comes around as a good arm in off the boundary, but just the one run, so one more to the total, one more to King. She's 5 from 16. The score moves on to 33 for 1.
Yeah, been an eventful over, hasn't it, so far? 4 balls in, and Nancy Harmon back on strike now. There's a huge space at third man area, and instead finds it through the covers.
Pushed off the back foot through the covers by Harmon, and they do well to scamper and run back for 2. And I like this good running, positive running, because when you're not finding that boundary, you've just got to be turning those 1s into 2s at every opportunity.
Yeah, good running, and no hesitation there, very decisive. And it's been a very positive start from Nancy Harmon. Only 2 balls faced, but 3 scored, and a chance to finish the over now.
Here comes Geach. And this one just squirted out into the onside. And again, deep mid-wicket comes around and cuts it off. So it'll just be 1 off the final ball of the over, meaning that Harmon will keep strike for the beginning of the 8th over. 36 for 1 Sussex Sharks. And it's nice to see Nancy Harmon in a Sussex shirt. She's obviously over from Hampshire at the moment, has been part of the Trent Rockets, London Spirit. She's been over at Vipers at times. She's collecting shirts.
Yeah, why not? Tour the country and develop as a player, and obviously looking to play a key role for Sussex this season in the new competition. It's a very exciting time for women's cricket, and to be one of the leading players for this Sussex team is a great opportunity, and we'll look to continue that now. It's still going to be Liv Daniels after a good first over, conceding only 2. Well bowled again, drawing an edge, a thick edge that will lead to the single.
I think also what's so exciting with the movement of players is that there's so many more opportunities now. You might be part of a tier 1 squad, but if you're not getting into those teams, getting playing time, you're just carrying drinks, travelling the country.
That's nicely played, and won't quite go for 4, cut off on the boundary. Be careful, no overthrows, well backed up.
Yeah, it means that you get the opportunity to get time out in the middle. You get to go and play. So then there's players also moving between tier 1, tier 2, the likes of Stair Callis, who is part of Yorkshire, but she's out on loan at Warwickshire, and I'm also convinced that she's trying to play more matches than anyone this summer and set some kind of world record.
Off the back foot, King just pushing it away. Maybe a bit of sign that she's settling now after a very scrappy start. That previous shot for 2 was maybe her cleanest so far today. Able to take the quick single there as well. And now this is the exactly the stage of the innings where Sussex really struggled against Middlesex. They made a very similar start to this one, but then only went along for about 3 and over for around 10 overs. They can't afford to have that happen again, and that's a risky shot in the air. I don't think she had it fully under control, but was falling short, well short of the fielder at deep extra cover. King back on strike. Good running again. Knew that the single was there, even though it was straight at the fielder. She was far enough away that they had the opportunity to get to the other end. And so King, having really struggled initially, has now scored 5 off the last 5 balls, having scored 4 off the first 15. So that's encouraging for Sussex, that their opener is starting to hit her stride. 42 for 1 after 8.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It just takes a couple of boundaries, just a couple of good shots to get yourself up with that strike rate. At the moment, 9 from 20, but add a few boundaries in there and she'll be looking very comfortable. It's about catching up if you fall behind. Well, here comes Geach again, and this is pushed backward a point. It's going to race down to the boundary down at deep third.
That will be her first boundary.
And that's exactly what she needed to find. Just start finding that boundary. Yes, you might be slow to start, but there's always time to catch yourself up.
Very nicely played, waited for it. I think earlier in the innings, when she didn't have that confidence, she was just pushing a bit, stretching a bit, not being patient, and on that occasion, perfect timing.
Here's Geach again, and this swept away down on one knee. There is a fielder out there at long leg, so it'll just be one cut off in front of the boundary there. Good throw comes in. She adds one more to her tally.
Nice looking shot though, wasn't it?
It was very nice, and it's well timed as well. We've seen a lot of shots from her today that have just sort of been slightly miscued. She moves on to 14 from 22, brings Harmon back on strike. The score 47 for 1 as Geach is in again. Right arm over the wicket. And she has a wafting drive at this one. Does Harmon, misses completely, flies straight through to Hazel behind the stumps.
Yeah, didn't judge the timing well, but same with King. It's confidence, isn't it? How important that is, obviously, when you're at the crease. Start to see the ball differently when you settle.
And this time just not quite timed and pushed into the onside as short mid-wicket comes in and cleans up, and there's no run. Score remains 47 for 1. 5 off this over so far. Good recovery from Geach after the first ball went for 4.
That was the perfect line for this field. When you've got 5 on the leg side, including 3 out, offering cover, you don't want to give width outside the off stump.
Well, she goes back over her head this time, miscued, up in the air. Fielder at mid-off is flying backwards, thought about trying to catch it over her head, and absolutely no chance really for Katie Dolman, but the first real sign of aggression.
Yeah, going over the top, and a little bit fortunate because it was mistimed, but able to get back for 2.
Here she is again, Geach. Slightly shorter this time and wider, and not quite cleanly cut away. That was there to be hit, really.
It was. She missed out there. So as I was saying about the field, you've got 3 out on the leg side, only 1 on the offside, and so give that width and be unpunished. You're fortunate to get away with that. 49 for 1 after 9. You're listening to BBC Radio Sussex, BBC Radio Gloucestershire, and BBC Radio Bristol. I'm Andy West with Georgie Heath, and it's still pretty nicely poised here. We've got signs of more aggression certainly from Nancy Harmon, has looked to go over the top a couple of times, and Rachel King finding her stride now as well. And it's going to be the captain Daniels to continue for her 3rd over. Again, well timed by Rachel King, and that brings up the 50. Now they want to comfortably double this before the end of the innings. And there's that aggression again that we're seeing from Harmon. Unlucky not to get the boundary. It was well struck, cut out by the deep field. Again, they've got 3 on that leg side out. And it was well struck, but they have to settle for 2. Harmon moving along at a runner ball though. Good recovery. Just a little fuller, making sure there wasn't that opportunity to step onto the front foot and swipe it over the top, which is something that Nancy Harmon is clearly keen to do. Steps back this time and eases it out, and there's an easy single there.
Yeah, just ticking along nicely, these two now. Came together when that early wicket fell. 31 for 1, we saw the back of Izzy Collis, now 53 for 1, so really pushing it up.
Yeah, very well bowled. It's been a strong end to the over from Liv Daniels. King will be eager to make something off this final ball. It's an appeal, and it's not out, but still 3 dot balls out of 4 to finish the over. That one a long way down, and perhaps that's what saved her, the umpire Juliet Jarvis, perhaps seeing how big a stride she'd taken.
Yeah, I think that will be what will have saved her, just giving herself that extra bit of room. So halfway through the overs here, 10 overs gone, Sussex Sharks 53 for 1, so they really need to start trying to push on here. There were some times earlier when they were just getting bogged down. We saw a maiden very early on in the innings, and now Harman is showing a few signs of aggression, and they really want to start trying to push up here. It's going to be Charlotte Phillips, I believe, who's been handed the ball.
Yeah, she'll be coming on for her first over.
And there's just too much room outside the off stump with that first delivery. Harman pushes it away out to deep cover, and they'll come through for one. Lovely noise off the bat.
Yeah, should have been more though. It was short, wide, and Harman will feel that she missed out there.
She's in again, skips. Darted in this time into the ground, beats a diving extra cover,
That's
slashed
better.
away, and she's sort of running through
It's gonna
Custard
go.
to catch up with it and can't get there, and it's 4 more.
Yeah, King taking full advantage. A couple of loose deliveries from Charlotte Phillips. We've got a Charlie Phillips and a Charlotte Phillips.
Oh, just in case it wasn't all
in the
difficult enough
Gloucestershire
anyway.
lineup, and this is Charlotte on for the first time, and 2 wide short deliveries. The first only punished by a single, but King showing she's really hitting her stride now, up to 19.
And this time has a waft outside the off stump, just manages to beat that edge.
Yeah, there's a bit more pace on that delivery, so it just skidded through.
Here she is, there's that skip. Darted in again, this time through the covers. Fielder out there on the boundary will cut it off, so it'll just be 1 more. But that's already 6 from the over, and this is what they really need.
Yeah, and it's not been a good line from Charlotte Phillips. She's got 3 protecting the boundary out on the leg side, but everything has been bowled outside off stump. Needs to get it on the stumps.
Again, just outside that off stump, pushed away, easily driven away out to deep extra cover, and there's always going to be 1 round that.
Yeah, could have been more. Again, Nancy Harman maybe missing out a little, but it's been a profitable over so far. 7 off it with 1 to go.
Final delivery slightly quicker through the air, and again rocks off the back foot does King, and it's sent out to deep extra cover, who's had a very busy over. Runs galore over to her, so in the end 8 coming off that first over from Phillip. 11 gone. Sussex Sharks 61 for 1. Remember, it was Gloucestershire won the toss, and they decided they were going to have a bowl first here in what is now a very sunny Sussex. Sunny
Yeah.
Sussex by the sea.
Beautiful day, isn't it? We've got seagulls flying around, joining the spectators here. There's a decent crowd inside as well. Obviously a full day of cricket here at the First Central County Ground, with the men up later on as well. And a lot of fans coming in early to enjoy this women's game, as we have a reverse here. Not quite swept, but paddled around, and that'll be a couple of runs. Good throw in by Charlotte Phillips, and 2 more added to the total. This is Liv Daniels staying on for her final over. Been tidy so far. We want to finish strongly here. King moving up to 23 now, and that's a lovely shot. Probably going to be cut off. Just the one.
Great looking sweep shot. Just
Yeah.
not quite fine enough, so long leg could come round and cut it off in the end. Did well, moved across early.
Harmon back on strike. She's again showing signs of going over the top, and that is very well hit. No chance for the fielder to cut it out. They have got 3 back on leg side, but she found the gap, and that's something we've seen, I think, 3 times from Nancy Harmon now, that willingness to hit it over the top of the infield, and finding the rope on this occasion. So they are stepping up now. 8 off the last over, 7 already off this. Harmon again going airborne a little bit, didn't quite have the same aggression, but a comfortable single. And this is the stage of the innings you want to accelerate, isn't it? Especially when you've got so many wickets in hand, and they're doing exactly that.
Exactly, and King has really pushed up her run rate scoring as well. 24 from 31 now, opportunity to add to that. Expensive over.
And that's just scooped behind. The chance for 2 is there, yeah, a misfield. And Dolman conceding the extra run.
Yeah, it was a sort of unnecessary dive and roll over the ball from Dolman. She got herself there and then sort of added a bit of mayo on it and went for the roll, and actually that's cost an extra run in the end.
The change of field now. They're bringing in a deep gully as Daniels prepares a final delivery of her spell, and then going over, well, not over the top, there was no infield, and there's a misfield on the boundary, so it's King who finds the 4 on this occasion. And what a good over for Sussex. A couple of boundaries, 12 runs in total. Awkward bounce right in front of the fielder, but King now in this partnership 26 off 18. She scored 5 off her first 15, so you can see how she's accelerated, nearly up to a run a ball now.
And that's just what I was saying earlier as well. There's always that opportunity. You just find the boundary a couple of times, get yourself into your stride, into your game. Yes, you can have a few dots early on, but you'd rather have them at the top of the innings than later on when you're really trying to push up to a big score at the end. There's time to catch up. They've still got 8 overs to play. They've got plenty of wickets in hand. 75 on the board now, and a really good partnership building here between Harmon and King out in the middle.
They can start to look towards 150 as a target maybe now. Still 8 overs to go, 9 wickets in hand, and that's going to help the cause as well. Beautiful shot.
Yeah, Philip it's just sat up there for Harmon to hit. Not quite full enough. Pulled away into the onside. And the music again blasting around the ground here in Hove. They can feel that their team are in the ascendancy. There's quite a few coming into the crowd now, as Philip is in again. 4 off the first ball of the over. She skips. And this time, aerial back over the head of the bowler.
Not going to be 4 more. Cut off just about by Emily Geach, but they're really opening up now, and good running to get back for 2. Harmon, 24 off 18, 6 off the last 2, and that brings up a 50 partnership. What a good pairing it's been.
Here's Philip in again. This time darted in and looks to swing this into the onside. Slight misfield, but does well at short mid-wicket to get her body in the way and stop it. And finally a dot after a 4 and 2 off the first 2 balls of the over. Score remains 81 for 1.
Yeah, Paralantha ready, good stop. He just had to get in the way of that one.
This time extra flight just dug out right at her feet by Harmon, driven back past a diving Philip, and they'll come through and add 1 more to the total. So moves on to 82 for 1. 2 still to come in this, the 13th over. She's again darted in this time. Well, that is slashed away through the covers. Fielder comes round at extra cover, cuts it off. Not quite timed by King. So they just add 1 more to the total. Slightly quicker at this from Philip through the air. She's just trying not to give too much flight to let them take it on. Harmon facing up now, 25 from 20. Score 83 for 1. Final delivery of the over, and that's just worked into the onside as long on comes round. Geach cuts it off just in front of that boundary at wide long on.
There's a lot of work for the outfielders now, isn't there? If you're on the ropes, you've got to keep alert, because every delivery pretty much is piercing that infield. Real aggression from Sussex Sharks, moving along very nicely now to 85 of 13. And both batters in, really looking in good nick. Going along a run of ball, both of them. Harmon 27 off 21. We see the run rate has shot up now to 6.5 in the last couple of overs. So a tricky stage of the game for Gloucestershire. You feel that they're losing a bit of control perhaps of this innings.
I think this partnership has just really put the wobbles on them. They started well, they were quite tidy with their economy early on. They took that wicket that looked like it was going to be the key one because King was really struggling to get going, but actually this partnership has magnificently brought them back into the game. The Sussex Sharks now 85 for 1. They still got 7 overs in hand, so that 150 very much looking on.
Yeah, and we've got a change in bowling with Caitlin Belcher coming on. Just 20 years of age, and so not an easy time to come into the game either. Looks like we've got a fair bit of pace here. Wicketkeeper standing a long way back, but against two batters who are very well set. Belcher's first delivery just on the legs, worked away by King, and they're struggling for dot balls at the moment. Gloucestershire can't put any pressure on the batters, who have shown a lot more intent. Harmon in particular has shown that she wants to go over the top, and there's plenty of space on leg side in front of square. As Belcher comes in the air, should be out and is, and so on a second delivery Caitlin Belcher strikes, and how Gloucestershire needed it. It was mistimed, it seemed, by Harmon, perhaps a little closer to her body than she anticipated, and a simple catch in the covers, easily taken by Liv Daniel, the captain. And Harmon goes. She'd shown that intent to go airborne on many occasions already. This time couldn't get it over that infield ring and pays the price. So Harmon falls 86 for 2. Very much needed wicket there for Gloucestershire.
Yeah, finally they break the partnership, but the damage seems to have really been done now. They've still got plenty of wickets in hand, have Sussex, but it's a great start this from Belcher, and well taken in the end. Didn't have to move at all, did Daniels. Taken hands under, and like having it land in the bucket almost.
So it's Kiara Green, the captain, now coming in to bat. Struggled against Middlesex on Thursday, just 4 off 12 balls, so should be looking to play her way into form now, the captain, as Belcher looks to continue her fantastic start. Well bowled again, just coming into Green there, tucking her up for space a little bit. This is the over that Gloucestershire badly needed to stem the momentum that Sussex Sharks have been building. Green will get off the mark with the full toss, played to mid-off. She'll be feeling that she could have made more from that though. Full toss served up, only a single.
Yeah, it's something your eyes light up when that comes into you as a new batter, fresh to the crease. A full toss, you just think, yeah, I can really take this. You almost try too hard when you're not quite set out in the middle, and she's keen to sort of keep that momentum going after that wicket's fallen.
So King back on strike now, being in great touch in the last few overs, and she maintained that. Nicely struck. I think there might have been a hand on that from the fielder at point that just took the pace of it and allowed Izzy Patel to come in and keep it down to just 1. So Caitlin Belcher with an excellent first over, the youngster with only 3 conceded. She struck as well for a vital wicket. Needs to finish it strongly here though against Sussex skipper Ciara Green. And it's a dot ball to finish, so fantastic over, exactly what the visitors needed after Sussex had really accelerated in the previous few overs. Caitlin Belcher has put the brakes on somewhat. You're listening to BBC Radio Sussex, BBC Radio Gloucestershire and BBC Radio Bristol. I'm Andy West, joined by Georgie Heath. We have 6 overs remaining. Georgie, what are you thinking as a target? I said maybe 150 a few overs ago, 6 left.
I think they'd still be happy with that 150. It was losing that wicket. Perhaps at one point those two would have thought they could have tried to push it up to the 160, but just 3 runs coming from that previous over and the wicket in it means that Green's now got to get herself in. King, we saw how she really struggled early on. She's accelerated now into her play, and she's got to stay out there and anchor this. If she's there at the end, they could hit the 160 mark. And Gloucestershire, they've just got to try and find another wicket from somewhere. If they can get rid of King, they'll be feeling very positive with their comeback in this game, because it looked like it was getting ahead of them at one point.
A change in bowling now as well. Izzy Patel coming on for the first time. She's going to have plenty of cover on the leg side. So important she doesn't stray and give room outside off stump.
So Izzy Patel from the C end, right arm over the wicket. That's good line of length, and it just sort of tucks up King and it squirts out towards point.
Yeah, King perhaps very aware of the fact that the gaps to be found, the space, if you were looking for boundaries, is on the offside, so trying to give herself room there, but it just followed her the ball, didn't it? And that space wasn't there. Good start from Izzy Patel, first delivery.
Well, she's in again here now. And she moved really early there, King. She sort of gave herself room, stepped into the leg side, showing all 3 stumps, and manages to scamper through for 1.
Yes, she was really looking for that space, wasn't she, as we were talking about, backing away, and must have been contact inside edge. Fortunate not to be seeing that one dragged onto the stumps. Brings Keane back on strike. Decent start from Patel.
She's in again now, sort of flapping left hand, this time straying down the leg side, and Green looking to sort of launch that over towards the scoreboard on the onside. A few fans sat in deck chairs, but wide signalled. 1 more to the total. She'll have to go back and bowl that one again. Score moves on to 90 for 2 here, Sussex Sharks. As Patel turns and is in again. Right arm over the wicket, this time much better. Squirted out, over cover. For a moment she hung in the air. The ball just perhaps 6 inches over the head of the fielder at cover, and deep extra comes around, cuts it off. But a little bit of aggression again from King.
Again looking for that offside space, because only one fielder out there. If you can put it either side of her, it's Melissa Story, who did well there coming in to get it back quickly in and prevent the second run.
This time Patel slightly fuller and straighter, and that's just worked away into the onside. Well fielded at a short mid-wicket, and it just keeps it to 1 run. So score now moves on to 92 for 2.
Yeah, excellent fielding again, Prathana Reddy, and bowlers appreciate that, the effort being made by the fielders. You've got to show the energy, support your bowlers, and Gloucestershire have saved 2 runs there in consecutive deliveries.
And this time too much width outside the off stump, and well, really misjudged by mid-off. She sort of got caught in 2 minds, and that's going to race for 4. That's one of those you think, if I try and dive forward to this, it's an expensive trip to the orthodontist, but if I hang back, I'm going to have to try and make eye contact with the bowler later, who bowlers always assume that you can get there for a catch.
You should be able to stop everything. Yeah, catch everything.
Yeah,
not just stop it, but catch everything.
In the end, it's 4.
And it was Katie Dolman who, as you said, was that bounce that really that foxed her, and that's a needed 4 to relieve some pressure.
So 1 to come in this over, and that's just flat batted back past the bowler along the ground. Long on comes round and does the cleaning up. Charlotte Phillips out there, and it'll be one off the final ball of the over. So 9 runs coming from it, 15 overs gone, 5 still to come. Sussex Sharks 97 for 2 after being put into bat here in a very sunny Hove.
Yeah, not a bad first over from Izzy Patel, just that 4, allowing Sussex to make it 9 off the over in the end. Thought there might have been 2 off that final delivery. Maybe Rachel King starting to tire a little bit. She wasn't too quick to try to turn back for the second. Was fielded quickly in the end by Charlotte Phillips. So no surprise that Belcher is continuing with 3 overs remaining for her. She could bowl out now and complete her spell. Certainly did very well in the first over. Here she is again. Well, that will be one that Kiara Green would like to have back. Saw it well, knew where to put it, but could only pick out the fielder at mid-wicket. It's the only fielder in that area. If it had gone either side, it probably would have been 4 runs. There's 2 out on either side. Deep square leg and deep fine leg. And that will be a single, will it? No, they called for 2 in the end. Again, it was Rachel King was a little bit slow to turn, but Kiara Green was very insistent. We are coming back for 2.
Yeah, it's really good running from the captain, actually, knowing, like we were saying earlier, need to turn those 1s into 2s if you're not quite finding the boundary. Went right out to Melissa Story on the boundary. So the opportunity was they have to run that first one hard, put the pressure on the throw, which was a little wayward in the end.
Over the top from Kiara Green is going to be cut out, or it should have been cut out, but a bad misfield there, and that is a gift for Sussex. They might have tried to run 2. Instead, they didn't have to run anything in the end with the misfield on the boundary.
Yeah, Emily Greach out there on the boundary. Very strange. So when I watched her hit that shot, I assumed that was going into the onside, but she's gone inside out and hit it over extra cover. And Geach sort of puts her head in her hands as she has to do the cleaning up from beyond the boundary, but the 4 brings up the 100.
And this could be just a single. Wondered if they would try to run back for 2, but in the end it was close enough to Melissa Story that she could get back. She's got a good arm, Melissa Story, making use of that, but certainly Kiara Green showing her intent. Moving up already to 14 off just 10 balls. This is the more expensive over from Belcher. Went for just 3 in her first, 7 already off the first ball hit, 4 hit. And that could well be 4 more. Oh, not too far away from Story in the end. Would have been a superb effort. Perhaps going for the catch rather than trying to stop the boundary, and just too far out of her reach. And so it is 4 more.
Yeah, it was an excellent diving effort out in the deep. You could see sort of as she delivered that one as well, Belcher really lost her balance, and so it just sat up. It was there to be hit and absolutely launched into the onside, falling just short of that boundary. We haven't seen the 6 yet today.
We weren't far away there. Here's King again. Helped around nicely. They're not going to take on the arm of Story. Well bowled. She'd been busy this over. Going for a diving catch off the previous delivery. A couple more directed out her way. And a good over for Sussex Sharks. There are now 4 remaining. They've passed the 100 mark. That 150 is within reach. You would think plenty of wickets in hand, so they can play very aggressively. 2 batters in, going well. King up to 40, Green going along at more than a run a ball. And it will be Izzy Patel to continue. You'd think then, wouldn't you, that Dolman would come back probably for the last? She has 1 more available.
Yeah, you would think so. Patel's only into her second here. Went for 9 from her first over. She's just adjusting her field. So the short mid-wicket, she's having a discussion. She decided she wants to bring fine leg round to third, and everyone else pushes round. So the short mid-wicket now goes to square leg, and there's a sort of fine leg position, 2 out in the deep on the onside, 2 out in the deep on the offside. And looks to try and sweep this into the onside. And I think she's played it onto her own ankle, and actually that you can feel the pain of that from here. That hurts.
Yeah, I think we could almost hear that one. The contact of ball firstly on bat and then on the ankle. She tried to find space, like you said, on the leg side. Didn't quite time it, reaching perhaps a little too far there, Rachel King. But it shows how she's going for a shot now, within half century within reach.
This time tries to go again, gets down on one knee, and Patel can't believe that's not gone through, and it's actually going to race for 4. So she moves swiftly now onto 44 from 43, King.
Not the cleanest of contacts, as you say, Georgie, but it was enough, and with no cover out behind square leg on the boundary, there was no way it was going to be cut off.
Well, this has been great recovery from King. We said you can always push up that run rate. She was 3 from 12 at one point earlier in her innings. It looked like she was just chewing up deliveries. Now 44 from 43, eyeing up a half century as Patel is in again, this time slightly shorter, and looks to try and launch this into the onside. Gets a toe end and a chance of a run out, and actually not ground her bat, ricochets. She thinks about coming back for a second, and umpire Dean Daniels completely unmoved by that, but the direct hit coming in, not grounding her bat, not diving. I think she might have almost got away with one.
I wonder if Izzy Patel took the stumps off with the bails off with her hand as it came in. Yeah, she couldn't gather it, and she immediately, very sportingly, was no, that's not out.
Well, she's in again now, and that's hit uppishly out to deep extra cover, so it'll just be 1 run. They'll just jog through for that. It was all going on in one moment. So many hands flying in all directions.
There's run out potential here, isn't there? Because Kiara Green is running very aggressively, looking for everything that's there, trying to turn ones into twos. And Rachel King's been in from the beginning, maybe a little bit leggy now, isn't quite so sharp between the wickets. So there are run out opportunities if they're swift.
That's well dug out. That's really well bowled by Patel. She does well to just keep that off her stumps. This King squirts away off her feet down behind square on the onside, so she picks up 1 more. She moves on to 46 from 45. Score 116 for 2. 1 still to come in this, the 17th over, and actually turning into quite an expensive one again. 7 runs already from this second over from Patel. She's in for the final delivery here from the C end. And slightly shorter this time, goes aerial into the onside, and the fielder coming in off the boundary decided against it, and then she set off and then slowed down running towards it, so decided to let it drop in front of her, Emily Greach, but in the end
didn't look sure, did she?
She didn't, and it wasn't really a sure looking shot in the end, but it closes out the 17th over. 17 overs gone. Sussex Sharks 117 for 2. 3 overs still to come.
Yeah, gonna play those shots, and in this position, of course, why not? Only 3 overs to go, looking to push the run rate up, try and get towards and even past 150. And yeah, it was just hesitant from Emily Geach coming in. She was running in rather than sprinting in. Never looked like she believed she could take the catch. And so 3 overs remaining, 117 for 2. With Rachel King closing in on a half century. You're listening on BBC Radio Sussex, BBC Radio Gloucestershire, and BBC Radio Bristol. I'm Andy West, joined by Georgie Heath for a very entertaining innings. It just shows, doesn't it, the importance of getting a bat out when they're struggling, because Rachel King early really was struggling for fluency, but Gloucestershire couldn't get her out, and now they're paying the price for that.
And kudos for King for digging it out, staying in there.
And it's Charlie Phillips who's come back on to bowl now. Conceded 10 off her first 2. Green missing out on that occasion. Every dot ball valuable now for Gloucestershire. And they've got 2 in a row. That one didn't miss by much.
That was a real tempter, wasn't it? It was sort of tossed up and her eyes lit up as she thought about launching that over towards the pavilion.
There are 3 out on the leg side. Oh, that's just cleared Izzy Patel at mid-wicket, and they're able to come back for 2. But we can see exactly what Kiara Green wants to do for her team, the Sharks captain. She wants boundaries. And they're willing to take risks, as of course at this stage of the innings they will be. Flips in again. And that'll just be the single. Good line from Charlie Phillips. You've got to keep it on the stumps when you've got that cover out on leg side, with only one fielder deep on the offside. That's where you want to avoid giving width, and Charlie Phillips has done that well so far. So Rachel King now a boundary away from a half century. That could be it. Straight back down the ground. Has it got enough on it? It has. Beautifully struck by Rachel King. 50 up for her. Takes the congratulations of her captain and the applause of the fans raising her bat. Well done, Rachel King.
Yes, a great knock from King. She struggled earlier on, but she's really fought through the tough times at the top, and this is a wonderful way to bring up your half century. Straight back over the bowler's head, stand and deliver, raise your bat to the crowd. What a great way to celebrate double-header day here in Sussex.
Coming again, wanting a repeat. Didn't quite catch all of that one. It might well go again though. Excellent sliding stop close to the boundary.
Yeah, Caitlin Belcher's done well there. She sort of watched it flying over her head. It plugged in the end, but it's 2 off the last ball of the 18th over. 18 overs gone. Sussex Sharks 126 for 2, so that 150 looks potentially out of reach unless they really go some in these final 2 overs.
Yeah, they should get close, but yeah, it's been a great innings from Rachel King. A great recovery because, what was it? I think she was 5 or 15, so that's... if my maths is any good, which 47 off the last 32 balls. So she's really accelerated, having struggled initially to find her touch.
All right, so we're going to have Emily Greach who's going to bowl the crucial 19th over, as we so often hear. I think every over is crucial, but you know, yeah. Each to their own.
They get more crucial as you get closer to 20.
They get more crucial, yeah. That says that about age as well, I suppose. Anyway, moving on, bowling 19th over here, Geach, her 3rd and final. It's full and squirted up in the air, mid-off comes round. She's sort of coming too far, and flailing arm in the air from Katie Dolman as that just plugs and lands safe, but a bit of intent from the beginning of this 19th over. 1 run in the end, 127 for 2. They're
looking to go over the top. They're looking for boundaries now. We saw that from King twice in the last over. Here she is facing again.
This time attempted slower ball, full toss, and it goes aerial again over mid-off, and she's really getting her steps in now, isn't she, Katie Dolman? And they come back easily for a second.
So is Rachel King. She's having to have been out there all the way through, obviously, as the opener, and she was very slow coming back for the second, walks most of it. But, yeah, just missed out there, as you say. Slower ball out the back of the hand, ended up as a full toss.
3 from the over. This time pulled away into the leg side. Some absolute rocket power on that. Got to hand to it. Deep square leg, but just too much on it. Fairly short boundary out that way on the leg side. And there were a few sat in their deck chairs thinking, oh, we're going to have to fly out of the chair sideways to get out of the way of this one. But 4 more to the total.
Yeah, one of those where you can forgive a bit of a misfield because it was hit so hard. And Rachel King really dragging Sussex to a very respectable total.
Here comes Geach, and she gives herself room, and this time it's squirted off the outside edge and it's going to plug out on the offside. Story coming in off the boundary and apologises for a wayward throw, but the intent was there, and in the end just 1 run. So 8 now from the over. 2 balls still to come. 134 for 2.
So
Green on strike now.
So important that the fielders stay switched on, as Parantha Reddy did there, to avoid the overthrow. Saw the throw was coming in too long.
this time, just squirts out into the onside. Again, a misfield. They think about coming back for a 2, but there's that age-old adage, isn't there? Don't run on the misfield. And we call it a cliche, and there's a reason things become cliches, is because they happen a lot.
And they're generally true, and especially don't run on a misfield if you've been batting for a while and you're tired and you're not quite turning yet, as was the case for Rachel King on strike.
Final delivery of the over. This time she tries to pull this away and manages to get a bottom edge for it, and it's going to go for 4.
Yeah.
Well, she picks up 4 off the final ball of the over, which has turned into a very expensive one in the end. 13 runs from the penultimate over, and well, if you're going to swing hard, and if you get enough on it, it's going to race to the boundary.
Wasn't the most beautiful shot of the innings from Rachel King, but the outcome was what she wanted. As you say, she's been looking to go airborne, hasn't she, the last few overs? Both of these batters have. And
so 19 overs, 1 just to come. Sussex Sharks 139 for 2. King has been out there since the beginning, looking to carry her bat, looking for that red ink. 63 from 51 now. And Kiara Green, the captain, she came in and, well, she tried to play big, heavy cricket from the off, really. 21 from 18. It's been a good knock from her when she came in after Nancy Harmon left, who really was looking to try and belt the ball to all parts. Went for 27 from 22. The score at that point was 86 for 2.
There's an edge that's going to be a couple of runs as Green again looked to go over the top but misjudged it. It's Charlie Phillip bowling the final over, and the backward point, Charlotte Phillips had to run back. So again, we've been saying it for a while, that 150 is around about where they're going to finish up, and they'll be very happy with that. Sussex Sharks, they'll try and push beyond it. Green on strike. That should just be a single. They've got 2 out on either side. And so now King, she's been the one showing real power. What can she do off the final 4 of the innings? Already up to 63. The field changes with deep square leg going out, mid-off coming in. So she looks to go straight. I think she wanted to try and find that space over mid-off. The fielder who just come in, but got it too straight.
You feel like Sussex have been practicing their straight hitting. It's almost like they've been having a competition, because we've seen a lot of that in the last few overs. Straight back over the bowler's head.
As does that one from Green, and it'll be the same outcome, will it? Yeah, well stopped on the boundary this time, just for a single. Then perhaps that was a result of the game at Lord's a few days ago, where they only managed 102 runs in the 20 overs, having desperately struggled in the middle phase of the innings. They've avoided that this time, kept a nice pace to it. 2 balls to go. And that's going to be 4, is it? I think it's going to have enough to get beyond the run of Charlotte Phillips trying to chase it down. And reverse paddle there, really, from King. Another boundary. It was a full toss. It was a gift. Premeditated to go with the reverse. And finds another boundary. And so 1 ball to go. They need 2 for that 150 we've been talking about as a target score, and it'll be King who faces it. Final ball of the innings from Charlie Phillips, and a play and a miss. So they didn't quite make it, Georgie, didn't quite get to the 150, but nevertheless, especially having only scored 102 against Middlesex in their last game, Sussex Sharks will be pretty happy, you'd think, with that. 148, they've given themselves a decent target to defend, having been put in here.
Yeah, and it's a hell of a knock from King. She struggled early on, but finishes unbeaten on 68 at the end, so carries her bat. She goes to 68 from 54. The partnership at the end, 62. So Kiara Green, she came in and kept that momentum up. They get themselves to 148 for 2, and they'll be relatively happy with that as a score. Sussex Sharks. They've got some really good bowlers in that side, but it was Izzy Collis was the first wicket to fall today, went for 24 from 23, and she was the one who looked like she was going to do the heavy lifting, but Rachel King really dug in, got herself into the game, and she finished on 68, so a great bit of work from her, great innings. Nancy Harmon came in, well, she did what we know she can do so well, was destructive in the middle, and then the captain at the end, a really mature knock, keeping King company, but also ticking over that run scoring as well.
Yeah, notable that all 4 batters who came in went for more than a run a ball. Collis 24 off 23, King 68 off 54, Harmon 27 off 22, and then Green at the end 25 off 21. It was King who starred obviously with 9 boundaries in her 68 not out, and so that will take us to a brief break, only 10 minutes before we return and see whether Gloucestershire can succeed in their run chase. You're listening to BBC Radio Sussex, BBC Radio Gloucestershire, BBC Radio Bristol. I'm Andy West, joined by Georgie Heath, and we will be back in less than 10 minutes as Gloucestershire will chase 149 to win, set well by Sussex Sharks. Welcome back to the First Central County Ground. We're ready for the Gloucestershire innings now, chasing 149 to win. I'm Andy West, joined by Georgie Heath. We're on BBC Radio Sussex, BBC Radio Gloucestershire, BBC Radio Bristol. And it's a tough challenge, Georgie, isn't it, for Gloucestershire? This target of 149 need a good start.
Yeah, they do need a good start, and I also really appreciate that Wasp is already saying they only have a 30% chance of winning, and they haven't even played a ball yet.
Well, they won't like that stat, and it'll be Prathana Reddy who'll try to disprove it initially, opening the batting with Becca Halliday, and the bowler will be Lottie Curling. So we resume here, Gloucestershire's inning needing 149 to win. Well, that's not a great start for Sussex Sharks. A wide and a misfield by the wicketkeeper, but then very well followed up on the boundary by Carrie-Anne Doherty to prevent at least it turning into a 5 wides.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how Molly Adams completely misjudged that one behind the stumps. Usually a very good pair of hands.
Bat on ball, this time from Reddy, so that will get her off the mark. Only one previous T20 game for Gloucestershire this season. That was in the T20 Cup, a defeat against Glamorgan. Actually did score 150 in that defeat. Reddy had 17 of 24 in that game. The other opener here, Becca Halliday, didn't play, so her first delivery of the season in the T20. And safely defended. Well, after that very loose start, Curling has found a range now.
Yeah, and Wasp has already decided it's 7% happier with this from Gloucestershire.
It was those wides that did it. Quickly turned the percentage up.
Yeah, not the ideal start. They had that such momentum coming towards the end of their batting innings. You just want to get the squeeze on early.
Nicely bowled. And again, safely played away by Halliday. A fielder out on each side, only 2 allowed of course in the power play. We've got a deep third and deep square leg. Consecutive dot balls for Curling now. That's well bowled again.
It's really good stuff, just angling in, targeting those pads, and full enough that she just can't quite dig it out. So after a bit of a sketchy start to the over, it's been a great response from Curling.
And it's a bit early, isn't it, to talk about pressure, but Becca
What
Halliday
pressure?
here, 3 balls faced, no runs. It'll be starting to get on her mind. Okay, let's try and get off the mark here. And she does, squeezes that to the deep square leg, who comes in to make sure it's just a single. And so both openers off the mark. Lottie Curling was very expensive in the loss against Middlesex on Thursday. 36 conceded from her 3 overs there. And it's a better start here after that initial wide. She finishes with a dot ball.
So 36, that's a third of their runs really, isn't it? She went for.
Yeah, it was a strange one really, that defeat, because they actually started off well. Sussex Sharks, a low total 102, set Middlesex 103 to win, and took a couple of early wickets, but then couldn't take any more. So Middlesex ended up cruising home with 5 overs spare. But Sussex here holding them just to 5 off the first over, Gloucestershire.
So bowling from the C end is going to be Carrie-Anne Doherty, the 19-year-old. It's a very young side, this Sussex side. So saying she's 19 isn't really too much of an anomaly within this side. None for 4 their match against Middlesex and none for 8 when she played against Bucks. She's in now. It's just squirted out to cover by Halliday, and there's no run. So starts things off with a dot.
Yeah, she was only given one over, wasn't she, at Lords? And as you say, only conceded 4 off it. So that was a decent start for her, and being given the opportunity to open the bowling today.
She comes off a very short run up. This time Fuller, and just targeted at the feet and well blocked out by Halliday.
Yeah, nice and full. And Halliday is being pretty cautious at the moment.
So still 5 without loss. Gloucestershire. This time slightly shorter and wider, and that will be signalled wide by umpire Dean Daniels, standing at the bowler's end at the moment, and also overseeing proceedings today, Julia Jarvis.
Yeah, and if Halliday had been able to anticipate the width there, it was a real chance for a boundary that if she'd got it through the ring, there's a deep third out, but no one else on the offside.
Has a big swing at this one, manages to go through, and again not stopped cleanly by Adams behind the stumps. And they do well to scamper through for 1. Score moves on to...
Yeah, initially the scoreboard had that down as another wide, but it was only a bye. The umpire correcting that original wide decision, just a bye there.
She waits again at the top of her mark. A very short run up she has, Callie-Anne Doherty. Sort of walks the first 3 paces and then sort of runs about 5 or 6. And again, this time wide, 2 wide outside the off stump. Has a slash at it, does ready. Can't make contact.
And it's a big stage, this, isn't it, for a 19-year-old? The launch of a new competition. It's an exciting new era for women's cricket. It's a lot of pressure, and when you have a couple of wides in your first 5 deliveries, that's starting to pile on her shoulders now.
That's much better. Bowls out. Well, what a recovery. Talking about it being much better. Not just better, a million times better. That off stump, almost out of the ground, bails in all directions, and this is just what Doherty needed after she got the wobbles on a little bit earlier. It's now hugs all round and celebrations.
Yeah, from a wide to a beauty there. Look at that, pitched on middle stump and just shaped away, and Prathama Reddy out in the second over for just 1 run. Not what Gloucestershire needed when they've got a pretty hefty target to chase down. Look at that movement through the air, beautiful. And that is why she's being given the opportunity to open the bowling. And with young players, you've got to live with those mistakes at times. You're not going to get the same kind of consistency that you would from a more seasoned player, but there's clearly talent there to produce that kind of delivery.
Yeah, learn from your mistakes. Things you can say in cricket and in life as a youngster and as an older person, but you know, we're all...
We try to learn.
We try to learn. It's harder when you're old. Just like getting out of bed and running, and your knees and your hips, all of those things. But great start this from Doherty, brings Patel out to the middle. So 8 for 1, Gloucestershire. Well, that target, 149, suddenly seems a long way away as the IPL tune, which isn't actually, what didn't initiate as an IPL tune, but it's what it has become, reverberates around the ground. Also one you hear a lot at the French Open, but it's usually being shouted by someone rather than a trumpet noise.
Are we going to reclaim it now for the Vitality Blast?
Ooh.
Why not this summer? Patel's first ball.
Over the wicket again, this time just squirted out to point, and there'll be no run. I'm not sure I have the power to reclaim much from the IPL.
I don't know, don't doubt yourself. This is the beginning of the campaign, why not?
Yes.
Let's get it started. Maybe we could put a hashtag out, get it on Instagram. Why not?
Not sure my 8,000 followers can quite take on the IPL. Again, over the wicket this time. Tries to drive this through the cover, finds the outside edge, just beats Molly Adams again behind the stumps, and they'll come through for 1 run. So 1 more to the total. The wicket in that second over brings that to a close. The end of 2. Gloucestershire 9 for 1. That target 149 to win.
You feel Izzy Patel will be very important in this run chase for Gloucestershire. Mentioned they've only played 1 game in T20 format this season in the T20 Cup. A defeat against Glamorgan, but Izzy Patel was the outstanding performer in that game, 46 not out of 37 deliveries. She will need to produce something similar with that kind of run rate. Again, they've made a slow start here, 9 off 2 overs. So they've got to start accelerating soon, with a wicket lost as well, of course, already. It'll be Curling coming in for her second over. And that is going to be 5 wides down the leg side. Again, Molly Adams was unable to get there. And that's the kind of free runs that will help Gloucestershire in this chase try and get back on track.
Yeah, they just can't afford to just leak free runs. It's a hefty enough target, but if you're just giving away free runs, extra deliveries, it makes it a hell of a lot easier for the Gloucestershire batters. They're not having to do anything and the runs are ticking over.
Yeah, and the score goes up to 14. And of that 14, only 2 have come off the bat. So we've had 1 bye and 10 wides so far. So that's a bit of sloppiness for Sussex that they'll want to stamp out now. As Patel faces Curling, hoping to get off the mark. That's a way to get off the mark. Beautifully swiped to mid-wicket. And there's only one fielder out there. She had no chance of coming round from square leg. Picked up the length early and hit it with confidence. Way for the first boundary off the bat of the innings.
Yeah, great timing in the end. Picks out that big gap for one fielder, just slightly square on the leg side.
Looking for another boundary there. Izzy Patel showing intent, looking to play with confidence as well, take the game to the fielding team, but picked out mid-off. I think we can see Izzy Patel's approach here, certainly in the power play. Again, picks out the fielder. There was half a chance for a run out there. It was, I think, would have been safe if it had been a direct hit, but Patel passes over strike for the last couple of balls to Halliday, just 1 off 7 for her. Well, that will add another to her tally. Well fielded on the boundary, quickly round. And a good strong arm in as well, making sure it was only 1 run. Halliday unable to add to the boundary that Patel struck earlier in the over. Again, they take the quick single, and again it comes in. Now they should be looking for overthrows here. Halliday had turned away. It probably wasn't on, but that brings it to an end. So it's 17 off 3 overs. Sorry, 21 off 3 overs. 17 of those conceded by Lottie Curling.
Yeah, 21 on the board, but 12 of those extras, and that's where they've really got to try and tighten up here, Sussex. They did well with the bat to get themselves up to a respectable score, but they're just giving away free runs at the moment. Just 9 of them scored actually off a bat. So extras currently the highest scorer. The wicket has gone down though, and it was Doherty who picked it up, so she's going to continue and bowl her second from the C end. She comes in right arm over and angled in at the pads and worked away into the onside by Patel, who picks up 1 more, and the throw comes in well taken by Molly Adams, leaping out, puts her right hand above her head, and it sticks as Kiara Green is also going through the motion, so wonder when she'll bring herself on as Doherty is in for her second delivery of the over. Just straying again down that leg side.
Taken well this time though, wasn't it, by Molly Adams, who hadn't been that secure early in the innings. Already let wides and byes through, so she'll be pleased to take that one cleanly.
This time just slightly fuller and can't quite time it as she looks to pull it away into the onside. Does Halliday. And it's another dot ball, so start building those dot balls. Doherty's been pretty tidy, pretty economical so far, and she'll want to keep that on. Work in partnership, have one end really holding it up and force them to have to try and take on the bowler at the other end. This time slightly quicker and darted into the pitch, and there's a half stop at cover.
Good fielding, saved at least one run. Not sure it would have had enough to go all the way to the boundary, but Halliday, obviously a big hitter, not seeing much footwork from her. She looks to just stay there in the crease and swing hard. Don't want to let her find her rhythm.
This time the high back lift from Patel, but can only pick out point, and again there's no run. Score remains 24 for 1. This is really good work from Doherty. She's holding up the C end nicely.
And good fielding as well. Support your bowler, always so important. Again, just push as point comes around and cuts it off, and there's again no run, so building the dots. One more still to come in this fourth over. Gloucestershire 24 for 1. So you mentioned it's from the C end. You said you're starting a crusade to have individually named ends. That
100%.
passes a test, the C end.
The C end, I'm here for it. As the final delivery, she goes aerial this time, back over the head, and it's coming down towards us in the commentary box. Kiara Green gives chase, and the ball wins the race. So it's 4 off the final ball of the over. Really breaks the shackles, and what had been a pretty tidy, economical over in the end.
Yeah, you turn it from a three run over into a 7 run over, and it makes all the difference, of course. And talking about the end, she was trying to hit that one into the sea, wasn't she? Straight back over the bowler's head. A second boundary for Patel. Izzy Patel showing again why she's going to be so important to this chase for Gloucestershire. 4 overs in, 28 for 1 there. Just a little short of the required run rate, but certainly in the game. And you're listening on BBC Radio Sussex, BBC Radio Gloucestershire and BBC Radio Bristol. I'm Andy West, joined by Georgie Heath, and I think we're going to have a bowling change.
We are. It's going to be the captain coming from the Cromwell Road end.
Another one that gets a tick for you.
It does. If
Why
someone
not?
mentioned it to you, you'd know exactly where you're talking about. If you say city end, you could be anywhere. Or pavilion end.
Good first delivery from the Cromwell end by Kiara Green.
It's one of those things I think I would love to put out to the public, and you get to name ends, but then we ended up with things like Boaty McBoatface, so we sort of have Endy McEndface.
There's Halliday again looking to swing hard, not really getting her feet to the ball. She's made a scratchy start here. 3 off 12, but we've saw with the innings of Rachel King how a slow start can lead to a fast finish. That could be out though, and it is straight to mid-off, and Halliday's rather unconvincing innings comes to a swift end. The captain strikes.
Yeah, she just not timed it at all, found that outside edge, and Izzy Collis barely had to move. Safe pair of hands. Barely any celebration from the fielder, but the captain brings herself on. 2 dots, backs it up with a wicket, so this is really good stuff from Sussex on top in this game now. That run rate just over 6, but required is pushing up towards 8. Now 28 for 2, Gloucestershire.
Yeah, it's wickets, isn't it? That was the luxury that Sussex did have in their innings. They were able to be really aggressive in the latter overs because they had so many wickets in hand, but losing 2 early is a concern for Gloucestershire, with Jess Hazel coming in to bat now. And having said that, Sussex were in a similar position in their game against Middlesex on Thursday. They did strike twice early, but then couldn't take any more the rest of the innings. So they'll look to keep up the pressure here. Another wicket in the next couple of overs really would put Gloucestershire under pressure. Kiara Green, what a start for her. 1 for 0 off 3 balls, and now bowling to Jess Hazel. There'll be another dot ball. The two fielders out are both on the leg side. Long on and deep mid wicket. So one ball away from a wicket maiden. What a start from the captain, leading by example.
It's like gold dust in a T20, that, isn't it?
Captain saying, here you are everyone, this is what you need to do. It's not going to be a maiden though, as it's swiped away. It was pitched quite a long way outside off. They're going to come back for two, but off the mark then. Jess Hazel reaching for that one and squirting it over mid-wicket. 2 runs, still a good start from Kiara Green, who contributed with the bat as well.
A good day out, the captain, hasn't she? Not out, 25 from 21 for her with the bat today, now picking up a wicket with her very first over. She's a very good captain. She leads this side well, much older than some of the others in the side, and she's got that mature head, the experience of being around the game, so she'll have seen it change through all the different permutations throughout the last few seasons. And so it's great to be a player of the sort of around your early 30s, and you've seen all the different forms of the women's game come through, and now to be aligned with the men's in the way that it is in this new era, which is a word, if I took a shot every time I said new era this year, I'd have liver damage. So here comes Stanley for her first over. This time it's just dug out and driven to a diving extra cover, and they scamper through. Good running.
Izzy Patel is looking to be very aggressive with her calling, looking for a run at any opportunity. Even though that was well fielded, she was still in no hesitation. Set off straight away. And now Talitha Stanley have a chance to bowl at Hazel for the first time.
Yeah, she's in again. Good pace, Stanley, and this is just tries to pull this away into the onside. Squirts up in the air, and Adams does the cleaning up. She had a great game. I was down here for their T20 at the beginning of the Women's County Cup, the T20 County Cup, with the equivalent of the Cricket FA Cup that has just concluded this week. Took 3 for 21 against Bucks in that first round match, so great game from Talitha Stanley there. 1 for 11 against Middlesex this week, and none for 22 when they played Glamorgan a couple of weeks ago. And this one just attempted slower ball.
I think that's called the commentator's curse, isn't it? Talking her up and then the wide. But yeah, she was actually the only Sussex bowler to take a wicket against Middlesex. One of the wickets was a run out, so she had a good game there, as you say.
She's in again now, that long run up, and just pushed out between point and cover, and a slight misfield. Doesn't cost any more, just the one run. The gulls are swirling, aren't they, above us? There's one just goes across in front.
Coming
just
for your head.
Oh, don't. No, get me out there with my chips and I'll be hiding them. Hiding in a corner somewhere. I've got my lunch voucher. I'm off to find my fish and chips or whatever is on offer afterwards.
Well, by the seaside, yeah. We've got seagulls circling. It's got to be fish and chips time, hasn't it?
And here comes Stanley again, and just dug out. A little loopier from the pacer. The thing is, only if there's mushy peas.
Mushy peas, yeah. Yeah.
Must be mushy peas.
Yeah. Ketchup with the fries, or not with fish and chips? Tartar sauce?
More salt than I would tell my doctor about.
Yeah. Talking about shots and salt on your chips, you're going to have a good day here.
It's basically tequila, isn't it? There's be a lemon on the fish somewhere, I'm sure. And Stanley is in again, this time right angled in on the pads.
Yep, well bowled, and it's been a very good over. Aside from that wide, and there's only 3 off it, 1 to go, so to finish strong. We saw this the previous over at this C end though, where Patel hit a 4 off the last ball. Need something similar here, because that run rate now is well over 8.
Here she comes for the final delivery. And that's beaten the outside edge. Really good stuff. Great final delivery from Stanley. 6 overs gone. Gloucestershire 33 for 2. Patel 12 from 15. Hazel 3 from 5. But that run rate required now up at 8.29.
Yeah, only needs 1 or 2 quiet overs, doesn't it? When you're starting off chasing 150, well, 149 to be precise, then you can't afford many of those quiet overs. See, it's already a good crowd inside today. Of course, a double header with the respective men's game later, Sussex against Gloucestershire. Why not come early? Enjoy the women's game, enjoy some sunshine. It's green again. Another play and a miss, this time Hazel. You pointed out the win percentage. What was it, 30 at the start of the innings? Down to 26 now. It's pressure piling on Gloucestershire all the time. That will be just a single as Hazel stretches outside off and squirms it out to deep mid-wicket.
I once got 26% in a Latin test, and then I was so bad they let me quit a year early. So, you know, it's not all bad.
Well, it's not widely spoken these days. I think you're
yeah,
all right.
I think I'm all right. Caecilius est in horto, that's about as far as I can go. But then I think Caecilius died in Vesuvius or something. So.
And keeping it tight again, Green not giving Patel room. She made a good start with a couple of early boundaries, did Izzy Patel, who perhaps is the key to this innings. Now looking to be the aggressor again, hit straight back down the ground, but there is a fielder out. We're beyond the power play now, so 4 fielders allowed beyond the ring, and 3 of those are on the leg side for Kiara Green. And there's not one there. This might take some cutting off, and the sliding stop does come in, but then a miscommunication in the end. Lottie Curling throwing it in. She turned away after the sliding stop was initially made by Rachel King, but they were able to keep it to 2. The sliding stop and toss it to your teammate looks good, apart from when the teammate stops looking and doesn't realise.
Or when you flick it into your own foot and you kick it over the boundary.
Definitely never done that. The dot ball to finish. Another decent over for Sussex Sharks, looking in control at the moment. Gloucestershire need a couple of 12, 15 run overs, don't they, to get themselves back in the chase, really.
Yeah, they'll be feeling pretty confident at the moment, Sussex. They had some great work with the bat earlier on. An unbeaten 68 from Rachel King and 25 from the captain. Not out at the end there as well. And then a 24 from Izzy Collis up the top, and a quick fire 27 from Nancy Harmon. So a great batting performance, now being backed up by the bowlers. Stanley 3 from her first over. Full and angled in at the pads. She looks to try and work that into the leg side and can't get anything on it. And there's no run. She's in again this time. And just pushes this out to deep cover. Well timed in the end. They're going to think about coming back for 2. There's a miscommunication in the middle. The ball's gone to the wrong end. The bowler's end was the danger end.
Yeah, just a hesitation wasn't there from Hazel coming back for the second. Izzy Patel is never hesitating. She is, if there's a chance of a run or a second run, she is taking it. She's quick and she's expecting her teammates to maintain pace with that, and they were slightly fortunate. It was a good throw in, just to the wrong end.
Here comes Stanley again. Full again, angled on the pads, sliding down leg, no appeal that time, but looks again to just try and launch it leg side. Playing a lot of cross bat shots here, these Gloucestershire batters.
Well, there's a big space between long on, which is fairly straight, and deep square leg. Maybe trying to find that space in the cow corner area.
Stanley again, just 2 from the over so far. Just pushed out to deep cover again this time, rocking off the back foot. They run the first one hard, and there's again a mix-up. The ball's gone to the wrong end again. And then it's fumbled by Molly Adams, who scampers through, picks it up, cleans it up. But there's just no awareness coming in from out on the boundary that the danger end is twice now in this over been the bowler's end.
And there seems to be no awareness either from Jess Hazel that Izzy Patel is going to run 2 if there's a chance for it. Look at Izzy Patel turning. She's off. She's saying, come through, come through. And in the end, how it was not a run out, not entirely sure. Not great running, not great fielding or wicket keeping. Nobody covering themselves in glory there.
This time, straight back past the bowler. Long on comes around, cleans up, and there'll be 1 more to the total.
Yeah, even Patel there was not going to think of the second. Went out to Eve O'Neill, who looks like she might be coming on to bowl shortly. Took a signal from Kiara Green, has been limbering up a little. Want to come in the over.
This is again full, angled in on the pads and work backward of square, clipped away, and that's going to be 4 off the final ball of the over. So in the end, 9 coming from that Stanley over. 2 chances of a run out in the middle of it.
Yeah, beautiful shot really. It was taken off leg stump, not much width. The length wasn't bad, wasn't really over pitched, but she whipped it away, quick wrists. A very nice shot there from Jess Hazel. That's her first boundary, only the 3rd boundary off the bat in the innings. 8 overs in, and it was one that Gloucestershire desperately needed. The run rate still above 8.5 per over. We need a few more of those. We're listening live on BBC Radio Sussex, BBC Radio Gloucestershire and BBC Radio Bristol. I'm Andy West, joined by Georgie Heath. And indeed it is Eve O'Neill who's going to come on to bowl for Sussex Sharks. Patel to face. Patel just waiting for that one and easing it out into the point region.
That required rate up at 8.6 now. They need a couple of big overs just to try and drag it back.
It won't happen like that, will it? Hazel, having got that boundary with her previous shot, unable to keep her momentum. Or bowled. Good start from Eve O'Neill. Just the 1 run conceded so far. That one was following Hazel a little. Just created some room for herself by stepping back, giving herself room outside off stump. Straight delivery. She had the room to club it down to long on. Good line being maintained by Eve O'Neill. Excellent start. Just finish it well now for a great first over. Yeah, there's that commentator's curse again, the wide.
Came down with snow on it, that delivery, didn't it?
Yeah, just let it breathe sometimes. Flatter and shorter this time, and Patel can step back and find the single. That will allow her to keep the strike. 50 is up for Gloucestershire. But they need 99 off 11, and even my maths, I know that's 9 and over.
Your maths is better than my Latin, obviously.
Your Latin's better than my Latin.
Well, my Latin is not much better than anyone's. So they'll be feeling still pretty confident here, Sussex. It is a blustery day out there, though. I can see some fans in with the sort of the iconic blast headbands with the blue hair sticking out the top.
Might lose a few of those today if the wind picks up a bit more.
I mean, Lee for the first time today. A bit more spin. Ava Lee into the side today.
Just 19 years of age.
This one darted in, and it's missed the inside edge.
Plenty of turn there. It was looked like it was going to be very wide, and that's what Patel set herself for the cut. And it really jagged back.
Well, she's got a hold of this one into the onside, but there are two fielders out there. Not too much distance between deep mid-wicket and deep square leg, so cut off easily in the end on the one bounce.
Well, with the spin obviously coming in, it makes sense that they have three fielders deep. Sussex Sharks on the leg side, give some coverage there.
Here comes Lee again. And so nearly got through this time. Well, Ava Lee playing at Sussex now. She's been playing over at Hampshire, played Essex just a couple of days ago in a completely different outfit, different shirt. And Warwickshire last week has also been part of the Vipers, obviously, last year. So a young player been developed down on the south coast. This time goes aerial into the leg side, deep mid-wicket again, just fields it on the one bounce. And for all the effort and the noise of the shot, it's just one run.
Yeah, and she's allowing herself to let it turn by taking a bit of pace off the ball, giving it some flight, and you know, they can fish for wickets as well, Sussex.
This time darted into the pitch and kept out well. Finishes it with a dot. Great first over for Ava Lee coming to Sussex. 2 runs from it. So 10 overs gone. Halfway through the overs of this chase. Gloucestershire 52 for 2.
And showing good variation as well. Ava Lee there with that last ball, as you say, a lot quicker and flatter. Yeah, should be very happy with that. Just 2 conceded. And it's starting to look very difficult for Gloucestershire. Need a couple of big overs, and need them soon. It'll be O'Neill continuing. Eve O'Neill, 4 conceded from her first. Again, pace off the ball.
Hazel really had to wait for that one, didn't she? She was sort of almost through her shot and just had to check herself and really not swing through too early.
Could have played it twice.
Could have wound the bat around.
Again, pace off the ball, and Patel this time trying to thrash it through. Once again with the spin bowling, it's 3 out on the leg side, so plenty of protection for O'Neill. That will be gathered by Kiara Green, captaining from mid-wicket. What a great throw in. Don't think Molly Adams would have appreciated that, hurled in at her ankles, but it's all progressing very smoothly at the moment for Sussex. Singles off the over only so far. And that will remain the case. And say, Georgie, only 3 boundaries still in the innings off the bat. A run of ball going along in singles just isn't enough for Gloucestershire. They need to penetrate the outfield. It's nicely improvised by Hazel. And we come back for 2. Didn't have enough power on it to reach the boundary as Rachel King came around.
Well, Rachel King came around and fielded, sort of slipped as she threw it and ended up in a sort of press-up position. She's just hobbling back to a sort of backward, deep square leg, long leg position. She seems okay.
Well bowled again, and no run to finish the over, so 6 off it. O'Neill maintaining good accuracy, and something that Sussex have been able to do well in the last few overs is avoid those extra runs. Was it 10 wides in the first 3 or 4 overs conceded, which inflated Gloucestershire's total a little, but they've been showing more discipline and good in the field as well so far, Sussex Sharks.
Yeah, been really positive, attacking the ball. We saw a few times Gloucestershire in their innings, they sort of just waited and let it come onto them, fielding on the bounce, never really attacking it too much. But I'm just looking at Rachel King still in front of us, and she does look uncomfortable as Ava Lee is in again. Goes aerial back over the head of mid-off, and it's going to be a couple of bounces, and finally they found the boundary.
Yeah, needed it. And you say Rachel King uncomfortable. She was there as this was slapped over her head at mid-off. Excellent shot from Izzy Patel, who I think we identified early on as the key player in this run chase. Still there.
Moves her feet early, and that's almost a carbon copy of the shot before. This time, fielder coming round from long on, can't quite get there and cut it off, and it's back-to-back boundaries, and this is just what they needed.
It was Eve O'Neill who raced round here, dived, couldn't make the stop, and so now this has the potential to become exactly the over that Gloucestershire needed to get themselves in with a realistic chance here. 8 off it, 4 still to go.
Uses her feet and she's stumped.
Oh.
Well, that is a great bit of work from Molly Adams behind the stumps. Just came shuffling down towards it, Patel, trying to make it 3 in a row, hit back-to-back boundaries, and then just completely didn't play for the spin. Well taken by Molly Adams, quick hands, and almost ends up falling over. Doesn't even really need to look at the umpire, a long way out of her crease.
Yeah, excellent work by Molly Adams, and also great credit to the bowler as well. It would have been very easy for her to become disheartened by conceding those 2 boundaries from the first 2 balls, but she didn't. Ava Lee held her nerve. We might have been tempted in that position to think, well, I'm just going to fire it in, not going to give her another chance to hit me back over my head again. But as I said a few minutes ago, Sussex Sharks, the position they're in, they could allow themselves to fish for wickets and keep saying, okay, keep trying to hit it. We've got runs to play with here, and another wicket would be so valuable. That's exactly what they've got. Good wicket keeping, good bowling, and Ava Lee has that very, very important wicket of Izzy Patel.
Well, if you think it was just a few overs, there were 2 chances of a run out in 1 over. It could have almost been a very different story much earlier on. But now it brings Geach out to the middle. She bowled pretty well today. Picked up a wicket, went for 27 from her 3, so turned out expensive in the end, but did take one of the 2 wickets to fall today to Izzy Collis earlier on, LBW.
A quick fire 19 off 14 balls in the T20 Cup game for Gloucestershire earlier this season. Left-handed bat, so that will mean a change in field and a change in angle as well. Lee coming round the wicket with 3 out on the leg side. So this will be spinning away from the left hand of Geach.
She just pays this one the respect it deserves, straight bat, and then rehearses what looks like a hefty cover drive.
Maybe that'll be coming out next.
Yeah.
It needs to for Gloucestershire. 83 or 50 balls to win. Well bowled. Very well bowled from Lee, and what a good recovery from boundaries in the first 2 balls. Wicket, ...
Again, just plays this respectfully. This has been a really good recovery from Ava Lee. Went for back-to-back boundaries, the first 2 balls of the over, then the wicket, and and then backed it up with 3 dots in a row. So 12 overs gone, Gloucestershire 66 for 3.
Enjoying the hospitality at the county ground. Looked like a gin and tonic in hand there. It's a beautiful day by the seaside. There is a bit of a breeze. There's not much shade around the ground at the moment. It'll be chilly in the shade. More than pleasant in the sunshine, and more than pleasant position for Sussex Sharks in this game. They've got 3 wickets taken and 83 required off 8, more than 10 and over. We need Hazel to continue, able to just squeeze that away just for the single. So Kiara Green continuing her 3rd over. Changing her own field, captain's prerogative, sending out a deep extra cover to the left-handed Geach, and that'll be a wide. Bowling a line to a right-handed bat. Oh, and then the wicket taken, clean bowled. Geach couldn't get off the mark. She falls for a duck, and Sussex Sharks strengthen their grip on this one. Looks like they're heading to a first win of the campaign here at home. Really well bowled. And a straight one, I don't think it turned much, but Geach just missing it.
Yeah, she played for the turn and go for the cross-bat sweep again. We've seen a lot of attempted cross-bat shots from the Gloucestershire batters, and it's been actually more effective when they've gone straight back over the bowler's head, as we saw Sussex do. But this time it's the undoing of Geach. She's on her way, and it brings Melissa Story out to the middle. Got a half-century to her name already in the season.
It was a great length, wasn't it? The delivery there from Green, just inviting her forward, not knowing whether to go forward, back. As you say, look for the cross-bat shot, and nowhere near. So a 2nd wicket for Green, adding to her 20-odd with the bat. Looking for a Player of the Match award to go with the captaincy. So in comes Story. Bowled again. Melissa Story, 6 not out in her previous T20 innings this season. And that'll be off the mark. But there's never really so far, Georgie, been a point in this chase where you've thought, yes, Gloucestershire are on track here. They've got this chase under control. They've been behind all the way, struggling to find the boundary.
Yeah, that required rate has just kept creeping up and up. They've never really had one of those big expensive overs and then being able to back it up with another and push on from there. And they're sort of...
Could be a mix-up here. It's quick running from Hazel. Story was slower to turn back for the 2nd, but she wasn't running to the danger end, so it was safe in the end. But you see there's the worm, and they were level with Sussex, weren't they? But losing 2 early wickets was the concern, and they're going to struggle to have the acceleration that Sussex were able to find around this time.
So Averley is still going to continue from the sea end down in front of us. The wind still picking up, coming from sort of behind us almost.
From the sea.
Surprisingly. The gulls squawking as Lee is in, goes for the reverse sweep, this time struck on the pad. There's a big appeal from the Sussex players, but it's Dean Daniels standing at the bowler's end unmoved.
They were convinced, weren't they? Man, it looks like a pretty strong appeal. Hazel survives, and perhaps so too, therefore, the Gloucestershire chances.
This one well fielded out on the boundary. They're going to come back for a second. Gets a high five from Nancy Harmon next to her. Eve O'Neill, is that?
It is, yeah. She did well there. A tumbling stop, saving a couple of runs. Hazel really chasing it now. She knows she needs a big 50 plus.
Goes for the reverse again this time. Not a lot of foot movement, but Melissa Story is quick between the wickets. She's already scampered through, and they'll settle for just one. So 3 now from the over.
2 attempted reverse shots from Hazel in the over, and neither worked out well for her. Got away with that one. The bye, no contact with the bat. Brings Story on to strike.
She has a big swipe at this one outside the off stump, and Molly Adams goes up exuberantly and sort of muted from the others joining in afterwards.
Yeah, the bowler wasn't interested, was she, really? Very much a token appeal, but look at the turn and bounce. Excellent from Lee.
This time a bit of extra flight, well dug out, and beats a diving extra cover. And Rachel King at mid-off comes round and cleans up. She's still walking slightly gingerly.
A bit of a limp there, isn't there? But I think she was helped out there by Doherty at extra cover. Just got her fingertips on it, took the pace off it. But yeah, you can see now with the fielding change they're making, extra covers coming in, and mid-off, which is Rachel King, she really is limping back all the way to the boundary.
Moves early, this time does Hazel, and she looks to launch it towards that boundary on the onside. Gets enough of it, but 2 fielders out there converge, cut it off, and in the end just 1. So 14 overs gone, Gloucestershire 77 for 4.
Very good fielding there by Talitha Stanley, taking it on the bounce and swiftly getting back in to make sure there was no chance for a second run. Just 6 overs remaining then, and it's 12 an over required for Gloucestershire. Their first game of this Vitality Blast season. The second for Sussex, having lost against Middlesex on Thursday. Well on track for a first win. But with Hazel still at the crease, you never know. She's facing green now. Again, brings out the reverse, this time straight to the fielder. And it was Lottie Curling who dealt with it well. This time down on one knee, and that will be just a single win it. No, they're trying to come back for 2 and succeed in doing so. The throw was just a little slow to come back from Rachel King. I think they've spotted that she has a bit of an injury, isn't moving as quickly as she might, so it was a bit slow to get to that. That allowed the second run for Hazel, who's carrying this innings at the moment. Another reverse and a fine contact, bit of an edge. Keeps going for that shot. Not had much success with it yet, but she obviously likes it.
Try and try again. Was it if in doubt? If you first you don't succeed.
Try 5 times, and maybe on the 6th time again. You'll succeed. Coming round now, Ciara Green in a final over. And again, they pounce on Rachel Green's lack of mobility to turn that into 2 runs. Just the one this time. Story going along at run a ball. They need significantly more. Final ball of the spell then for the Sussex captain, Ciara Green. Very good contribution to so far. Only 18 conceded and perhaps more importantly 2 wickets. Swiped away to deep mid-wicket for just another single. So well bowled, Ciara Green, 2 for 19 off her 4 overs, and Georgie more than playing her part for her team.
Yeah, very much so. Someone had to dig in, and she's doing her very best here. So they still need 65 from 30, so more than 2 a ball. So it's going to take quite some going for these Gloucestershire batters. 5 overs still to come, 84 for 4.
Yeah, that run rate has just consistently kept on climbing. Hazel had a decent partnership with Patel, but once that came to an end, they've been struggling to make it close, get themselves in with a chance.
So Ava Lee is going to come and complete her set. She's coming round the wicket to the right-hander, gives herself room and then just cuts this towards point. And there's again no run.
Yeah, interesting change of angle. She previously did that to the left hand, didn't she? But to the right-handed Hazel now.
Goes for the reverse again, this time not timed again. And the fielder at point just cuts it off, and they'll come through for 1 run.
Well, it had to be stopped, otherwise it was 4. There was no one out deep. Now they have a change of field as she comes back over the wicket. Deep extra cover goes out.
Full, driven straight back up
Into the ground.
into the ground towards the bowler. And there's again no run, so just 1 from the over so far. 85 for 4. Story on strike, 7 from the 8 that she's faced. She goes for the reverse too, and this time it just goes straight through to Molly Adams behind the stumps.
Yeah, Story looking for the reverse as well, as Hazel has on several occasions. It's not worked out really at all. A couple of balls left now for Lee.
Digs this one out and drives up towards a wide mid-off where Rachel King holds her hands up and says, "I'm not throwing it." And they come through for 1 run, 1 more to the total. 2 now from this over. 86 for 4 Gloucestershire. 1 still to come.
And again, the change around the wicket to Hazel, again with long off going out.
This time hoiks it into the leg side, bisects the 2 fielders, almost really well cut off. Nancy Harmon out there at deep mid-wicket. An excellent diving effort, and the quick throw in earns a round of applause from around the ground. That had surefire 4 written all over it. So the end of 16 overs. Green finishes hers at 2 for 19. 16 gone, 87 for 4.
Yeah, very well fielded, and that's something that Sussex, I think, have done throughout the game better than Gloucestershire. We saw a number of missed fields from Gloucestershire that added maybe 12-15 runs to the total. Sussex Sharks have been a lot more sure-handed, and the bowling there of Lee, along with her captain, both of them excellent economy, both of them picking up wickets. That was evasive action required by Story. As O'Neill's back into the attack. Continuing with spin, Sussex Sharks, and why not? It's a recipe that's working. Another reverse from Hazel that yields 1. Well, I think Story was looking for a ramp there, or something, tried to play it behind square. There just wasn't enough pace on the ball though. Trying different things in search of boundaries here, which have been hard to come by. Appeal for a stumping off the wide, but
I think we would call that a very firmly grounded back foot.
yeah, Hazel did well to keep herself safe. Going up in the air this time, should be taken, but it's not. The drop at mid-off. It was not the easiest of chances because she had to run in.
Well, just a little bit of extra aggression this time. Shuffled down the wicket nicely, but sort of got the toe end of the bat. And it's Rachel King there.
Well fielded this time, looking for the run out, not quite. But yes, they have to take chances now, don't they? And we've not actually seen Gloucestershire go over the top as much as we did, particularly King latterly in her innings, and Harman for Sussex. Final ball of the over for O'Neill. This should be at least 2. King struggling round. Looking to be moving a bit more freely now, actually, after that injury she took half an hour ago. But another good enough over for Sussex Sharks. 3 to go. Still 54 needed. You're listening live on BBC Radio Sussex, BBC Radio Gloucestershire and BBC Radio Bristol. I'm Andy West, joined by Georgie Heath. And Georgie, it's looking like a home win here. Gloucestershire have got an awful lot to do, fair to say. 54 required off 3.
Yeah, Sussex fans will be very excited by this. The girls edging it home here. 3 overs still to come, and then obviously the men are in action later on today, so nothing like the idea of perhaps 2 home wins on a double-headed day in the glorious sunshine here in Hove. There's a fair few fans in. Try and say that 10 times faster. A fair few fans in as we head into the dying few overs of this game.
A fair few fans flooding through the turnstiles.
Yes,
Yeah,
something
couldn't
like
get
that.
another
Something like that. The one that I find the hardest to say is run rate required. No matter how good you are at saying you're right, sometimes it just doesn't roll off the tongue.
Just stick to 18 and
I end
over.
up with the one weight retired and I sound like Jonathan Ross. Right, so beginning of the 18th over. And this is skewed up in the air. Who is under it? It's the captain who calls it, and it's misjudged by Kiara Green in the end, put down.
She got there, or looked like she was getting there, and she just stopped the last couple of steps and ended up having to reach out for it. Didn't help that there were 3 fielders initially going for it, and then just had to take that initial last stutter step to try and get underneath it.
Here comes Stanley. Taken on again. This time it's going to land safe between... Oh, it's gone for 4 in the end. She did well to get herself there. Did
Eve O'Neill, I think.
O'Neill.
Valiant effort, but not enough. And, well, trying. Hazel going skywards. We've seen a couple of drop catches. That does take them to 100. Likely not to be enough.
Stanley over the wicket again. This time angled in at the pads. Giving herself room, Melissa Story. She comes through for 1 more. Adds another to the total. Score moves on to 101 for 4. Good partnership by this two. The last wicket fell at 68. So they've tried to rebuild. They've just not been able to accelerate. There wasn't that hefty foundation built earlier on. They say the wise man built his house on the rocks. Well, these were sort of built on sand, and it's been really difficult to build on top of it.
Yeah, they've not been able to score quickly enough. As you say, came together at 68.
Gives herself room this time and just clubs it, not timed again, into the onside. Eve O'Neill comes flying in from long on to keep it to 1.
So those 34 that they've put on together have come in 5.2 overs. And when you're chasing 9, 10 and over, needed to be significantly quicker. And what they've not been able to do is score enough boundaries. Only 6 in the innings with that last one from Story earlier this over. Looking for a 7th.
She's got a hold of that one. One bounce and goes for 4. Eve O'Neill long on. Her eyes may have lit up temporarily, but great looking strike. What a noise off the bat as well. The crunch off the bat from Story.
And great placement as well. There is cover out there, but between the two fielders, shame this didn't come a little earlier from Story. 2 boundaries in this over for her. 1 to go.
She taps her bat now. And this time the half volley clipped out to deep mid wicket and will be cut off and will stay as just 1. So Story will keep strike for the beginning of the next over. 18 overs gone. Gloucestershire 107 for 4. That target 149, a long way away.
You can see there on the worm just how the Sussex Sharks did accelerate around the 10-12 over mark that Gloucestershire haven't been able to match. With those lack of boundaries, there were 7 so far. 7 fours have been struck by Gloucestershire. There were 17 in the Sussex innings, and that shows you part of the difference. I think the better fielding from Sussex has helped as well, but not a powerful enough hitting. Story, though, will face now, needs more boundaries and won't get one there. Run out chance, but getting in quickly enough was Hazel.
It's just an innings as a team that's never really ignited, you know. It's sort of trying to light a fire with damp firewood.
Yeah, and it's fizzled out.
Yeah.
That's the danger now. Another single, and it looks like, barring something remarkable happening over the next 4 balls, that they're not really even going to be in it in the final over. They're going to fall well short, it seems. There should be a couple here. There will be. They're chased down by Doherty. But yeah, Hazel herself, and not to criticise because it's certainly not easy out there and the fielding's been good, but she's 33 not out now. Only 1 boundary in that. Story unable to make connection there. Well bowled as well. We've seen accurate bowling for the large part, and they've been willing to back themselves as well. And the reverse again fails to come off.
Well, we're saying Sussex has been practicing the shot back over the head of the bowler. It looks like Gloucestershire have decided this is what they want to try and play.
Might need to practice it some more on today's evidence. I think, what, 10 attempts and maybe 3-4 runs off it. That's going to be more productive. Again, excellent fielding. Yes, they've come back for 2, but that could have easily been a boundary, and that's one of the main reasons why Sussex have been able to restrict Gloucestershire to just 113 off 19 overs. So we've talked about maths a couple of times. 36 off 6 balls. I think we know how this needs to go for Gloucestershire.
Oh, well, Hazel, if she could do this, it would go down in absolute T20 Blast folklore.
It would, wouldn't it? First day, first week of the new competition, a new era, as
new
we're
era,
fond of saying.
new era.
Cheers.
Cheers to the new era.
Well, let's see what Hazel can do. Something special it has to be.
So mathematically, yes, possible.
Yeah.
Realistically, slightly less possible, but stranger things have happened.
Once or twice. Well, we'll see. The responsibility for bowling goes to Talitha Stanley.
She's in right arm over this time, and it's right on the pads. It looks to try and sweep this one away. There's Hazel, and well, Melissa Story was heading off to scamper through for a single, and Hazel's just holding her arms up in this sort of shrug emoji.
Yeah, she stays on strike. And those 6 sixes required have turned into an impossible equation now for Gloucester.
Again, Fuller just dug out to deep square, and Melissa Story will now be on strike. And Hazel is just determined to get back to that striker's end. She was trying to come back for a second, and there was a very firm hand held up, like a lollipop lady saying, no, don't cross.
Well, it's Story who's been hitting the boundaries, isn't it? So you can understand why she wants to be on strike.
22 from 21. You almost think she could have come in further up the order. Stanley into Story this time. She can't quite time this, it just goes fine. This fine leg cuts it off, and it's off the pad. So it's not one more to Story's total, but one more to the grand total.
Nice and straight from Stanley. She'd like to take a wicket. Her teammates have around her today. But
she had the opportunity, didn't she, in her previous over. It was put down by Kiara Green.
Yeah. Real skyer.
She's in again this time. Gives herself room, does Hazel, and again, not quite timed. Stepped well across into that leg side. There'd be almost 5 stumps on display, and actually gave herself too much room. She then had to reach for it.
And a lack of timing, just trying to force it. And 2 balls away from confirming what has been a convincing victory for Sussex Sharks. A good innings with the bat all the way through. They scored steadily, then accelerated when they had to. Again,
that Fuller delivery dug out and worked backward of square. And the fielder doesn't quite manage to cut it off, so it'll be 4 more to Melissa Story. And 4 more to the total. Trying to end with a flourish here.
Yeah, 8 boundaries in the innings now for Gloucestershire. 3 of them coming in the last 3 overs from Story. And yeah, as you say, Georgie, she could have come in a little higher up, because she's been the most impressive with the bat for Gloucestershire. As we go to the final ball now.
Stanley in, right arm over the wicket. Story just cuts this up to deep extra cover, where Kiara Green does the fielding, and they come through for 1, so she finishes on 27. Gloucestershire, they fall well short in the end. 20 overs, 121 for 4, so 28 runs short of what they needed to try and make. That partnership at the end, though, 53 between Story and Hazel, really sort of recovered some good feeling. You guess Gloucestershire can go home feeling positive about that, but they just never really got themselves back into this game after the Sussex batters got themselves up to 148 from their 20 overs. So a convincing win for the home side here, and there's reverberations around the ground. They've had 1 win today here on the first of their 2 matches at Sussex on double-header day, and they'll be very happy with that, the Sussex side.
Yeah, Sussex, a very solid, very convincing win all round. They played well with the bat. Obviously Rachel King was the star with 68 not out, or 54, but well supported. Everyone alongside her went along more than a run a ball as well. And then when Gloucestershire came into bat, 2 early wickets. The only really negative for Sussex early on was bowling too many wides, but once they got to grips with that, the bowling was accurate. They backed themselves to take wickets. The fielding was good despite a couple of missed half chances, and very convincing win for Sussex Sharks, their first of the season.
Yeah, they'll be very happy with that one. Disappointing for Gloucestershire, but the Sharks are up and running now, the team in blue. Oh, the sky is blue, the winners are blue, and there's nothing blue about this Sunday afternoon. The fans are in, ready to see the men in action later on. Music playing, but a great knock and great bit of work from Sussex today. They'll be very happy with their all-round performance, actually. Batted well, bowled well, fielded well. Just a couple of catches perhaps put down. There'll be a bit of disappointment there on a few missed run-out chances, but other than that, a really solid display from the Sussex women.
Yeah, very strong win and something for them to build on now. They needed it, having lost quite heavily at Middlesex on Thursday, but we're expecting Sussex to be a pretty strong contender in this Vitality Blast, and led by their captain in part today, good with the ball, Kiara Green, 2 for 19 off her 4 overs, and able support from all round really. Curling went for 8.5 and over, but she was the most expensive, so it was steady throughout the team, as we saw everyone contributing with the bat as well. So a good win for Sussex Sharks. Gloucestershire will have to wait for their first victory as the home team prevail today, 148 for 2, and Gloucestershire never really close to chasing that down. 121 was all they could reach. So a 27-run victory for the Sussex Sharks, and we will bid you a farewell from the First Central County Ground. Good win for Sussex Sharks.
Great win for Sussex Sharks. Thank you for listening to us. It's been myself, Georgie Heath, and Andy West. And we are now off to use our lunch vouchers, find somewhere that has some mushy peas. The good news is there is more cricket still to come from here in Sussex. The men will be in action from 4 o'clock, so tune on in before that. And, well, now go get yourself a cup of tea, some fish and chips, some mushy peas, and we'll be back with you in just over an hour.